on-air thing. Hello.
Hello.
We're live now.
We are.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Ubuntu Community Q&A. You'll notice that there is 50% more of us on this week than usual.
Yeah, I've put on a bit of weight. Sorry about
that. And that is because this is going to be our last show of the year. We've got some holidays coming up. A lot of people are taking off. I'm taking off for a couple of weeks. So this will be the last time this year that you see us all, at least here on the Q&A. We'll, of course, be on IRC for a little while. We're on Rocket Chat. We're on email. But less Q&A for a bit. So do not wait to get your questions in this time, or you will be waiting quite a while until the next opportunity to do that. So as always, if you're watching this on ubuntuonair.com, right below the video, right down here, there will be an IRC widget where you can go and join our IRC channel and ask us your questions. If you have an IRC client already, you can join #ubuntu-on-air on Freenode IRC. It will take you to the exact same place as that embedded widget. We ask that you start all of your questions with the word question in all capital letters. We have that on highlight on our clients so that we can see those and pick them out separately from any discussions that are going on in the channel. Generally makes it easier for us. Don't wait until the end of the episode to start asking your questions. There's a short delay in the video, and also we tend to get a queue of questions that we try and go through in the order they come in. So if you wait too long, we might not have time to get to all of them. Oh, what was that?
Nothing. Nothing. Everything's under control.
All right. So other than this being the last show of the year, do we have any announcements or updates we want to talk about?
I don't think so. I'm going to an event tomorrow. If anyone's in London and going to DevRailCon, you could probably find that on Google. DevRailCon. I went last year. It was awesome, and I'm going again this year because I expect it to be awesome again. So if you're in London and you want to go to a good developer relations conference, go to DevRailCon tomorrow. Short notice, I know. Sorry. You'll need a ticket, but if you search using your favorite search engine, you'll find out how to get tickets, which will be awesome.
All right. Well, do we want to jump into some questions? I see we've got a few of them in the IRC channel already.
Sure. Yep.
Since we don't have many questions or many updates, please go and start asking questions, or we're going to burn through the short queue that we have pretty quickly.
And then we'll have to start singing, and you don't want that.
Yeah, none of us are Jono. All right, the first one is from Fairphone2. They are asking, can community ports devices use Nokia Here service location? So the Nokia Here location is an augmented GPS service that helps the phones get location data faster than just relying on satellites. This is something that Nokia Here, which is kind of a quasi-separate company from the rest of Nokia, but it's something that they offer as a paid service that Canonical or the device manufacturers, I'm not entirely sure who, somebody paid them to use it for the commercial devices. Community ports can use it, but you're going to have to work that out with Nokia Here to make sure that you are properly allowed to do so. I don't think it's free to the public to use, so you'll need to contact them and figure out what you have to do that.
Yeah, much like the other blobs that exist on cell phones, this was a binary blob and an API, and you probably need to talk to Nokia anyway because it's a binary, and we had the agreement from them to redistribute that blob. So it would probably be prudent to do that anyway. Have a conversation with Nokia Here. If anyone has difficulty getting hold of someone at Nokia, then let us know, because we know who has the relationship with the people at Nokia, or had the relationship. I don't know if it's still ongoing. And we can possibly put you in touch for significant community ports. I don't want to flood them with a whole load of requests, but if there's a significant community port project, we can probably put you in touch. But let us know. Give us a ping on IRC or Telegram or whatever, and we'll find someone to talk to.
All right. Dan W. has an awesome question. He asks, is there demand for non-coding participants into the Ubuntu project? If so, where can they contribute? So I would say probably the majority of contribution needs we have are non-coding. We always need help with documentation. We always need help with testing. We always need help with promotion and evangelism and artwork, governance, just helping new people get involved, doing support on askubuntu.com. There are a number of ways you can get involved. If you go to community.ubuntu.com, on the front page, you'll see a button that says Find a Task. It will ask you a couple questions about the things that you're interested in or the things that you know how to do. And then it will point you to one part of the community or another where you can start making those contributions. But yes, absolutely. Non-coding participants are vital to the Ubuntu project, and we do need as many of those kinds of participants as we can get.
I think quite a lot of people get started in the Ubuntu project through not doing coding stuff. Like I got started in Ubuntu not via doing any development at all. So yeah, there's always, as Mike said, there's always room for people who are not developers. Absolutely.
And a real good way to get started is to find your loco team. That's how I got started in the Ubuntu community, is finding people in my area that were already involved in the project, getting to know them, getting to know what they were contributing to it. And I started off by helping some of them.
Yeah, I got started on answers.launchpad.net answering technical support questions, and it's come full circle, and now we use Ask Ubuntu mostly for those kind of non-real-time like question and answer stuff. I asked a question earlier on today and someone else answered the question like for me, which embarrassingly was, if you read the man page you'll see the answer to your question, but you know, we'll gloss over that. But yeah, there's certainly definitely room for, you know, people who need support in Ubuntu, and like you say, documentation, translations, loads of stuff. Cool.
Right. And that kind of thing, there's no like setup process to get started on that. You can just go to Ask Ubuntu right now, look for unanswered questions, and if there's any of them you know the answer to or think you can find the answer to, then you know, just start jumping in and providing answers.
Yeah, you can also join the Ubuntu Community team mailing list or Ubuntu Community team IRC channel. There's a lot of friendly people hanging out there, and you can just they'll get you started. Like, just talk to them. If you're a social animal, just go and talk to people.
And the Hash Ubuntu IRC channel as well. Like, sometime when I'm you know, not doing anything else, or you know, I'm waiting for something to compile, or you know, bored, I'll just jump in Hash Ubuntu on Freenode IRC and just lurk there and, you know, wait for questions to come in. And they can be all kinds of, you know, wacky questions, from, you know, how do I make this application work, to how do I upgrade from one release to another and stuff. And there's a lot of questions that get asked there are frequently asked questions, and there's a bot in there which has answers to many of the questions, and you can trigger the bot to answer those questions for you, so you don't have to sit there and type out how to upgrade from one release to another. You can say, well, you know, here's some documentation, and I'll trigger the bot to tell you where that documentation is. So and it's really rewarding, because people come in Hash Ubuntu because, you know, they have a problem and you can fix that problem, and that's quite a rewarding thing when they go away having had their problem fixed. So yeah, that's quite a rewarding thing to do.
All right, so to wrap up, go to community.ubuntu.com, go to the Find a Task button, see where that takes you. You can also join, as Daniel said, there's a community team channel here on IRC. It's hash community, or hash Ubuntu community team. And I'll just type that into the IRC here. You can join that. If you're new to IRC, just type /join space the thing that Daniel wrote, not mine, because I can't talk and type at the same time, evidently.
It's hash Ubuntu community team. That's what it is.
Needs more Ubuntu. Yeah, so go there, ask us where you can get involved. There are lots of people who can help you there. Both the three of us and other people in the Ubuntu community who know where the needs are.
ISO testing, that's a good one. Testing ISO images, like, grabbing an ISO of the latest version, sticking it on a USB key and testing it on a machine, that is like super valuable thing to do. And that's super easy to do as well.
All right, moving on. The next one is from Fairphone 2 again, asking any news on the devices that will be capable of running Snappy-based images. There is ongoing work on those device images. I don't know what the current state is. They're not ready to use yet. I know that much. If you're interested, you can join the Ubuntu phone mailing list and ask there, and you should be able to get an update on the current state of that.
Yeah, we don't have an answer to that yet, unfortunately.
Right. Voicher asks, when is OTA 15? And I think we're still waiting on OTA 14, right? That's supposed to be out any day now.
Yeah, tomorrow. OTA 14's out tomorrow, which at the time of doing this is what, 7th of December. I asked earlier on IRC, and Lucas and Jean-Baptiste confirmed that it should be released tomorrow. So that's 14. Okay. I don't know when 15 will be. There's currently not a milestone set in Launchpad for OTA 15. There's a huge backlog of stuff, but there isn't a milestone set yet.
Yeah, and with us getting into December, and as I said earlier, a lot of people leaving, taking some holidays, I wouldn't expect that anytime soon. Maybe after the first of the year, you'll start hearing about it.
But feel free to join the mailing list and ask there, because
yeah,
that's where Lucas and the other release team are hang out.
So the Ubuntu phone mailing list is the best place for any questions or to get news about the Ubuntu phone development or see what other people are doing on top of it with apps. There's a lot of good activity there. It's not really high volume, but it's good volume. There's a lot of signal to noise on that list. So if you're interested in the phone or the tablet or the mobile device development in general around Ubuntu Touch and the move to snaps, go join that. Or go browse the archive for that if you don't want to join, just want to read. Right, DS Lull is asking, I find sometimes on Launchpad links to documents that provide insights on the development of projects like Mir and Unity 8. Is there a place where I can find the link to all of those and get a broader understanding of those projects? No, so this is a problem that we have internally too, is just keeping track of all the docs that are going on. I don't know of any good single resource that lists them all. Do either of you guys?
No.
Yeah, it's so easy to just start up a new doc for something that we tend to get a lot of them.
I mean, you could ask on the mailing list. That's something you could easily do. Just ask, what is the stuff that was decided last? Like, do you have any design documents you could share? It is what I think it was you, Mike, who said it. It's just too easy to create new docs with Google Documents. On the wiki ages ago, that was a bit easier, where you had namespaces and you were categorizing stuff and all the rest of it. I think we're seeing a bit of the problem of that right now. So yeah, just ask on the mailing list, on IRC maybe.
Yeah, it depends on what you're interested in. If you're interested in Mir and Unity 8, that might be on a couple of different mailing lists, depending on whether it's phone-focused or desktop-focused. We have IRC channels for all of these that you can join. We usually have mailing lists for them too that you can join. But #Ubuntu-Unity or #Ubuntu-Mir can tell you that's where the developers are and the developer managers, and they can give you links to what the current status of the plans and the work is. Right, Voicher is asking, are all silos safe to install on a tablet? And the answer to that is no. You should pretty much assume that no silos are safe to install on a phone or tablet. These are where the work is actively happening, and they change day to day, hour to hour, and it's all just whatever the current status of the code is. So if you want to test the newest, latest thing and see if it's working yet, then silos are great for that. But do not do this on your daily driver and expect to have a stable system. You are running, this is beyond the bleeding edge stuff that you'd be running if you're putting silos on there. If you want something a little bit safer, but still pretty up to date, just use the daily proposed channel for updates.
It's a step on from, you've got the code that's currently on the developer's laptop. That's like super bleeding edge. Then you've got what they've pushed to trunk, what's landed in trunk, what then appears in the silo. So it's not like the absolute worst of like crusty code that's going to break every system, but it's not far from it.
Right. You tend to have problems with versioning though, because the base that a silo is building off of might get stuck for a little while the base image in the proposed channel gets updated. So I've had this before where I've had stuff in a silo that needed an older version of some dependency that's now been updated in the base image. So yeah, use silos cautiously.
Yes,
agreed. That would be my advice. They're good fun to use if you don't mind the rough edges of it. You do get to play with the latest and greatest stuff before anybody else does. Right. Cool. Seb3 on his BQM10 asks, so I read recently that Canonical is going to sue a European cloud company. Any comments to do with that? Also, is this the first time that, assuming that's Canonical, is going to sue someone? Because I don't remember reading about that before. So no, we're not going to talk about legal actions, largely because we're not involved in that. That is not our part of the company, and we kind of like it that way. I don't think any of us want to be involved in that. But the basics of that are, if somebody's making modifications to Ubuntu, especially modifications that cause harm to the user or make Ubuntu look bad, then we have a responsibility to do something about that so that those people don't keep claiming that it is something that it isn't.
This isn't the first time this has happened. There's been multiple occasions in the past where people have distributed something which they say is Ubuntu, and so the end user expectation is set that I can expect these packages to be installed, I can expect these things not to be there, that we wouldn't put on Ubuntu install, and they can expect the user experience to be in a certain way, and we should uphold that expectation. And that's really what that blog post that Mark Shuttleworth wrote, which is published on insights.ubuntu.com. If you want to know the background to this, go to insights.ubuntu.com. There's a post there written by Mark, kind of covering some of the history. Yeah, it's not something we can really talk about, like Mike says. We don't work in that part of the company. We're not lawyers. So, and I don't really know about any historical legal action either, again, because I don't work in that part of the company.
Right. I will say most of the time that there's an issue like this, the person or organization doing the modification is doing it with the best of intentions. They're trying to, make something using Ubuntu, and they couldn't use the vanilla Ubuntu that we distribute. So they made their changes to make it work. And, we don't have a problem with people doing that. We just want to make sure that it's done right. And so what we do is we work with them to make sure that what they're doing, first of all, is safe and secure and not going to hurt users who are, trusting the Ubuntu brand on there. And second of all, we want to make sure that any improvements that they're making to get there are going back into the rest of Ubuntu so everybody else using Ubuntu can enjoy that. So when we have these licensing agreements, usually that involves Canonical doing some amount of engineering work for that other organization to get their images to a point where we feel comfortable with them calling it Ubuntu. So it's not, like a racket or we're trying to punish anybody. We want more people using Ubuntu, but we want to make sure that it's actually Ubuntu that they're getting. Right. We can move on from that one now. Dan W. asks, is there a plan to eventually freeze Unity 7 at its most stable point so all the efforts are focused on Unity 8, or would Unity 7 be somehow configured indefinitely, regardless of years of never-ending support to start with Unity 8? I think we can say that Unity 7 will stop being worked on eventually. It's a big change to go from Unity 7 to Unity 8, but it is still conceptually an update and not a different project. So once we have a stable release of the next version that's available to all the users who are using the previous version, then we really have no reason to continue working on the previous version. When that's going to be, I don't know. We do keep improving Unity 7 until it's replaced by Unity 8. That's why you keep seeing little improvements here and there, even after we've started putting most of our development time into the next version. But yeah, eventually it'll be frozen. If somebody wants to take it and run with it as a separate project, like Mate did with GNOME 2, then they're free to do that. But Unity 7 is very tightly tied to X11 through Compiz, and I think that that will prevent it from having much of a future once Mir and Wayland start replacing X on Linux desktops. All right, do please keep getting those questions in. We are running short on questions and long on time, still a little bit. So please keep asking them, otherwise it's going to be a short call. All right, the last one I have on my queue is from Depressionite. He says, my girlfriend doesn't like my Ubuntu phone because it hasn't Facebook Messenger. I'm afraid she can end our relationship. Where can we find girls that like Ubuntu phones? So we've become a relationship advice show, it seems. Right, so what you need to do is you need to call up Mark Zuckerberg on the phone, and you need to tell him that he needs to get Facebook Messenger working on Ubuntu phones. That's just the only way there is to it that I can see.
Yeah. We also skipped over a question from Mike who says, what about an Ubuntu smartwatch? Yeah, the smartwatch area is tricky right now. It seems, after hearing that Fitbit are planning to buy Pebble, and there's some speculation about whether Pebble are going to continue making smartwatches, whether that would really be a good market for us to get into or not. Yeah, I'm not convinced right now that moving from smartphones to smartwatches is right for us right now. But obviously it's not my project, and if Mark wanted to move into other smart devices other than phones, I mean, we're already in, what have we got so far? Fridges, drones.
I think we're in a slow cooker.
Oh, really?
I think so. I think one of those GE projects.
Okay, so maybe it's not completely ludicrous. I mean, those things are slightly bigger than a fridge. Like, you know, it's worth pointing out, a fridge, a slow cooker, and a quadcopter are all larger than a watch. So,
right.
Yeah.
It would also be interesting to see how Unity 8 is fit to, you know, work on such a tiny screen.
Yeah, I'm not.
I actually saw a mock.
Did you?
I think.
Sorry.
Yeah, Michael Zanetti, I think it was, who works on Unity 8, made a mock-up of what it would look like, what Unity would look like right now if you just squish the screen resolution down to like 320 by 200 or whatever it is that it has. And it looked all right. You know, you have a giant like button on the left that you swipe in from the left, and the indicators are at the top and stuff. Yeah, it needed work, but yeah, it's plausible that it could be crowbarred down.
Yeah, there would be a lot of design work to go into making Unity 8 work on a screen like that. That was kind of outside of the scope of what we focused on with convergence. We went from phone size up, but I don't think there's been any focus on things smaller in size than a phone screen.
So Michael Zanetti's clearly watching this because he's just pinged me on Telegram to say it's not a mock-up, it's the real thing.
What?
Right, so now I want to know what it would look like on a circular face watch.
Yeah, now make a circular version, Michael, please.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Make all the edges curve, Michael.
It would just come with one button, the Ubuntu logo, and that's it.
Yeah. I can see Ubuntu Core and Snaps on a smartwatch before Unity 8. But I think smartwatch hardware is still at least 2 years away from being powerful enough for that.
We shall see. Yeah, come back to us in a couple of years and see if Mike's right.
Yeah. Or see if Michael's finished porting it.
Yeah, in his spare time, his copious amounts of spare time that he has. Seth J asks, are there any plans for US Ubuntu phones? It feels like I've been waiting forever. Well, if you define forever as about 3 years, then yes, you have been waiting forever.
Well, as somebody in the US wanting an Ubuntu phone, it does feel like forever.
Right. So right now, I don't know of any plans to make a US phone, and that's the same answer that we've given for the last, 3 years, unfortunately.
Yeah. So it's going to come down to finding a hardware partner who has the ability to certify phones for sale in the US.
Or the flip side is join the Ubuntu ports, UB ports group, and help with getting a port to whichever phone is available in your region. So the OnePlus phones are quite popular in America right now, and OnePlus One, and I think the future OnePlus phones are targets for the UB ports, plus other phones available, So
right.
yeah,
I think the Fairphone will work in the US, and the Nexus phones will work in the US.
Yep.
All right. Guiver C asks, Unity 8 is using GTK Plus or Qt framework toolkits. Sorry, I haven't looked at it, but previously it looks more like Qt and not GTK Plus. It looks that way because it is Qt. It is using Qt 5. We actually started building it on Qt 5 back before it was officially released. I think it was still in beta when we started on it. But yeah, it's a more or less complete rewrite of the front end of Unity. We kept some of the back-end services, like around indicators. Still some GNOME technology backing things like the calendar. But all the UI stuff is now in Qt and QML. And because it's QML, it's made it ridiculously easy to modify the look and feel of Unity 8. I've seen a lot of people who have gone and made some tweaks to it. I've gone and contributed some changes myself to fix some bugs. So it makes it a lot easier. It looks beautiful. It runs great, especially on phone hardware. So I think that was a good move for us.
Cool. Next question is from Sergikup_. Is there any project about making shortcuts OSK for Ubuntu Touch? I don't understand the question. I'm sorry.
I think maybe he means that thing you get when you hold down the super key on the desktop. And I think that's actually in Unity 8 now, at least in the desktop.
Oh, okay. The thing that pops up an overlay of what the keys are.
Yeah. On the phone and the tablet, you get a intro tour the first time you load it up that walks you through all the swipe gestures.
Right, but if you had the phone plugged into a display and you held down the Windows key, the super key rather, would you see the overlay?
If you had a physical keyboard, probably. Like if you had a Bluetooth keyboard, I'll bet it would.
Yeah, I haven't tried that recently.
The same code is running Unity 8 on the desktop.
Right. Groovy. Professional Light asks, it's been almost 2 years since the launch of the first Ubuntu phone. There's still some lag on the system. Apps still take some time to launch. Why is that? So there's a lot of reasons for that. There's a lot of moving parts. When you click that icon, there's a chain of events that get triggered that hits a lot of components, both QML scene, the toolkit, Upstart, and there needs to be some optimization to basically all of those. And there's been some work to optimize some of them. In addition to which, right at the very end of the chain, obviously, is the application that you're launching. And some of the apps have had some updates within the last couple of months. So you might have noticed there were some updates to Calculator, Calendar, and the Music app to improve their startup time. But there's still some work to do. And we're always happy to get contributions to improve performance, or just to do the analysis and figure out where the bottleneck is, because that's really half the story, is identifying, you know, where the slowdowns occur, whether it's IO, or whether it's the Upstart script, or whether it's the application itself, whether it's the toolkit loading, you know.
Yeah, so we've had several people who have been profiling the whole startup process, and there's no one single point where the lag comes from. It's a death by 1,000 cuts. So, you know, they're working on fixing them one after another. There's no single fix that's going to show a dramatic improvement. So it's just going to be a matter of, you know, churning through each of these and fixing the, you know, couple milliseconds here and there that all add up to eventually become several seconds of load time. Mm. And I know some of that has gone into the Ubuntu app launch that registers it with Upstart and with Mir and with Unity 8 shell. They've been rewriting some of the QML components to be in C++ instead to get some optimizations there. I know there's been some work in Upstream Qt to optimize the QML scene graph compiling. So a lot of little things coming around. We've seen some improvement already, but again, it's going to be a slow incremental improvement and not, you know, one fix that changes everything. Right. Dan W asks, with Unity 8, will scopes be actually any better than lenses on Unity 7? As far as I'm concerned, the Unity 7's experience of searching for any online content was a disaster. Is the current experience of your proving that there is some hope to see some more polished experience? So the scopes have changed drastically in Unity 8. As far as the shell itself goes, the change in scopes has been the most drastic change between Unity 7 and Unity 8. There's an entirely different API that they connect to. There's an entirely different user experience that you get. We've done away with the smart scope, which tries to search all of your scopes at once. So now you've got individual scopes or aggregating scopes that just pull in selected child scopes of a certain type. So it is very different. It's kind of subjective to say if it's better or not, but if you didn't like the way Unity 7 was doing it, then it's good chance that you'll prefer the way Unity 8's doing it.
And also,
only way to find out is to try it, though. So get yourself a Nexus device or one of the commercial devices if you can find somebody selling one, because they're not sold new anymore, and give it a try yourself, or get Unity 8 on your desktop and try it there.
They're also easier to write these days. Like, if you know a bit of JavaScript, you can use that to write the scope. Like, there's lots of different options.
Right.
I found out on developer ubuntu.com/scopes.
Yeah, and being able to use JavaScript really makes a huge improvement there, because originally Unity 8 scopes were only in C++. So there was a much steeper learning curve then, but with the introduction of JavaScript, and I think we have Go scopes now. So there's some better options there for you if you want to write some. And aggregating scopes are neat. I think they are going to bring what benefits there were to the Smart Scope service without the drawbacks. All right, Depressionite is asking, the new app drawer means that app scope is going away? Question mark. I believe that's the plan, yeah. So just the app scope would go into this new app drawer that we saw mock-ups of on OMG Ubuntu recently and a couple other sites. So for apps only, it would be there because the app scope was always kind of an outlier from the rest of the scopes. It was used differently than the others were. So that's going to become more integrated with like the side launcher instead of the dash itself. The dash will still be there. It'll still have all the other scopes, but it'll be separate from app launching at that point. All right, that was the last question in my queue. Did I miss any this time?
I don't think so.
All right, any final questions? Start getting them in. And while we wait, I'm going to ask my colleagues what they have planned for this winter break.
Holidays, someplace warm, definitely. Nature around me, a lot of quiet time, but I still haven't quite decided yet. I'm going
Florida's
to
warm. Florida's warm.
Right.
We have a lot of exotic wildlife at our local Walmarts.
Right.
Yeah.
Never see anything quite like it.
I'm not quite convinced, but I'll let you know next week. I'll book something early next week.
So I'm actually leaving Florida for the holidays. I'm taking the family, and we are driving up north into the North Carolina mountains for Christmas. And I'm hoping that we'll have some snow around because I've never had snow on Christmas before in my life.
Wow. You missed out.
Yes. Driving on mountain roads covered in snow for the first time should be a fun experience too. So if you don't see me after the first of the year, you'll know how that went.
Super. For my part, I've got some holiday starting next week. I'm going to be spending it with the family, and I'm not sure what else I'm going to do other than the usual Christmassy stuff. I think I might play with some home automation stuff. I have some things on my wish list, like Wi-Fi enabled light bulbs and stuff like that I want to have a play with, and I want to be able to shout at computers and make them turn lights on and off, and I want to have the home heating come on when my wife gets within like a mile of the house or something like that. I want to do some kind of interesting home automation stuff. I've got a pile of Raspberry Pis around and some radio transmitters and all kinds of stuff, and I want to try and integrate those things together.
Now, if you use Mycroft for that, does that mean you're going to be talking to yourself?
Well, if Mycroft ever deliver, there was an announcement last week that it's been delayed again. So it would be nice if I actually got a Mycroft, but I don't have one yet. So,
well, the software part's available, right? Can't you get a Raspberry Pi image and stick it on one of those Pis you were just talking about?
Yeah, I probably could. Yeah, but I want the little thing with the happy face on the front. We'll see.
All
we
right,
had a few more questions coming.
Time to get some questions in.
Nice filler, guys. Well done.
Very subtle.
Yeah.
Right. So Depressionite asks, with Christmas coming, what's on your wish list? So I covered mine already. I would like snow for Christmas. They should make a song or something about that.
Right.
Daniel wants not snow for Christmas.
Yes, pretty much.
There you go. I've just shared my Amazon wish list. So there you go. If you feel like buying me something, you can do. And that answers your question. What's on your wish list? Thanks very much for asking that. What's the next question?
From Gwiversi, says LXDE, which is GTK2, is moving to Qt. Now that Unity 8 is moving to Qt because of the phone, but what about the old Ubuntu apps using GTK? Are they being moved, or are we adopt Qt-based apps? So you can run GTK apps inside Unity 8 just fine. There's no need to replace the apps. I think we've shipped both GTK and Qt on the desktop ISO for quite a while anyway, so it's not like there would even be, a change in the amount of space that a default install takes up. So no, I don't think we're going to go and start replacing all of the GTK apps. I think we will take each app alternative into consideration on its own right, like we've always done, and decide from there if it makes for a better user experience to switch or to stay with what we've had. That said, we did develop some nice core apps that were part of the phone, and they do converge nicely. I think convergence is going to be more important in the decision-making than the actual toolkit is, because we do want to be able to have one Ubuntu experience that works everywhere. And if one of the apps we used to ship on the desktop doesn't give a good experience, and we've got one that's been written in Qt and the Ubuntu UI toolkit that gives a better one, then that might be a candidate for replacement.
Next question is from Hyseni. Any news on Canonical will try to join Google Summer of Code mentoring organizations this year? So there were some community people trying to get us in Google Code-In, and we weren't successful in getting into Google Code-In this year. We did Google Code-In last year, but we didn't do Summer of Code. We haven't done Summer of Code for a long while, I don't think. Daniel, you were the last one to do Summer of Code, weren't you? The last one to organize it?
Quite a while.
Yeah, quite a while.
Yeah, I think the mailing list is called Ubuntu-SOC or something of code.
Yeah, GSOC.
Yeah. So I think I would start if you're interested in leading the initiative or being involved there, helping with the organization, I think it won't hurt to have a head start and start organizing things, getting a list of projects together, possible mentors, and all the rest of it. In the beginning, it's quite a bit of work to get everything tidy and organized, because that's what the Summer of Code organizers are looking for. And I think the last times we were trying to rush it a little bit. So if you want to help out there, that's great. So send a mail, see who else is active, and get the ball moving.
Yeah, there's a lot of organizations that apply to that. So you really have to have a good, tight application to be able to get accepted. And the more help we get and the earlier on we get it, the better our chances will be. So if you want that to happen, please start getting involved now. All right. Cool. Dan W. asks, any predicted default apps for Unity 8? It's kind of an odd question because we already have some for the phone and tablet.
I assume he's talking about the desktop when Unity 8 becomes the default on the desktop.
Right. No, I don't have any predictions right now. I think you might even see two different flavors, one for the traditional desktop and one for desktops that are aimed at more of a convergence use. So like convertible tablets that are a laptop half the time and a tablet the other half of the time will probably have a different default set of apps. That would be my prediction, but not specific ones. I'm not going to try and guess that for the desktop yet. Right. Depressionite asks, where is Nicholas Skaggs? So
Florida, isn't he?
He is still in Florida. Yeah, he's a little bit north of me. But Nick has been on the QA team now for what, a year? More?
You said QA. Did you mean to say QA?
Isn't that where he is?
Hasn't he been on QA since like forever? I mean, with us, but working on QA forever.
Well, yes, but he's moved from our team over officially into the QA team to do community work over there. That's what I meant to say. So yeah, he's always worked on QA. He joined the community team to work on QA, but now he's working on that a little bit more closely than he was before with the Juju QA team. Don't mind the dog.
Next question is from Dan W, who says, will Ubuntu stop shipping all the fonts by default? E.g., a user in the UK will stop having to deal with hiding all the non-Latin fonts. Even the evil overlords from Microsoft seem to have dropped this nifty habit of throwing all the world's fonts in your face. Or so I've been told. It might well have been a lie, a beautiful lie. I don't think so, because like we ship an ISO, and that ISO, well, we a bunch of ISOs, but let's take, for example, the Ubuntu Unity desktop. That ISO image needs to be installable for people in any region. So right from the start, it's got to be able to display stuff on the screen that is legible in any one of like many, many languages around the world. So it has the fonts there so that it's readable in, you know, the Latin languages, Korean, Japanese, Chinese, and Hebrew, Urdu, and all the others. And so they have to be baked into the image just for you to be able to get the install done. It might be that we could do a better job of cleaning them out afterwards, but I've never actually heard of anyone removing the fonts from their system post-install. It's never been... I have no idea what fonts are installed on my system. I don't care, so long as I can view text in a terminal and my graphical stuff works okay in the language that I use. I've never really heard that it was a big issue that people remove fonts from their system.
I guess it would save a bit of space, but that's the only upside I can see to it. I mean, what's going to happen?
It would make drop-down list of fonts slightly smaller. Like in LibreOffice, you don't get 100 fonts, you might get 20. So that might be nice.
I agree, yeah. But also you would get like loads of websites with like squares all over the place. And
right, yeah, if you accidentally went to the Chinese website or Japanese website or something and it just wouldn't render properly for you, yeah.
I prefer knowing I can't read this as opposed to, I don't know what it says. Like, what is this?
You see a little box next to Poppy's username all the time.
Oh, that's sad. Need to fix your fonts, Michael. Maybe we need more fonts on the disk. That's right. That's the fix. We need more fonts. What's next? Depression Eye asks, how Brexit could affect Ubuntu. Do you know what? We don't even know how Brexit is going to affect our country, let alone one tiny company within that country. Who knows? I know that there are some people who are European and live in the UK and work in the UK. They don't know if they're going to be affected, and that may be very frustrating and upsetting for them right now because it hasn't all been sorted out. But who knows?
Well, the good news is that with the pound falling, Ubuntu is even cheaper than ever. Half of what it used to cost.
Yes.
Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Sure, we're running short on time. So Gwiver C, tongue-in-cheek, says, any plans to get the desktop that can't be named moved to Qt also, or off its GTK3? He's referring to my Ubuntu same look and feel that I mentioned. I'm not sure what desktop that can't be named is.
The desktop that can't be named is Ubuntu Martin. Ubuntu Martin.
Ubuntu Martin.
And
it can just be his picture instead of the Circle of Friends logo and the giant button on Unity.
I'm pretty sure that if you go to ubuntu-martin.org, It works. Yeah, it does. If you go to ubuntu-martin.org, you'll see what I'm talking about. So yeah, that's the distro that cannot be named, which is a stupid running gag on the Ubuntu podcast.
And it's on GTK3.
Moving to GTK3. So no, I can't see Ubuntu Martin moving to Qt at all. No, can't see that happening.
But then it could be Cute Martin.
Yeah, you can speak to Martin and tell him about being cute if you like. I won't be doing that. Oh dear. Right. Is that all of our questions?
That is all of our questions, and we have burned through another hour of Q&A. So thank you all for coming and asking the questions. Going to do a bit of wrap up, and if any questions come in the next few minutes, we'll get to them. Like we said earlier, this is going to be the last show for this year. I'm not sure exactly when we're going to start back up again, so just keep an eye on social media after the first of the year. We always post it the morning of, at least an hour or so ahead of time we try to. So keep an eye out.
Find it on the Fridge calendar, I think. If you look in the fridge.ubuntu.com, I think we show up in the calendar there.
Right, as long as we let them know when we're going to be doing it.
No, we can edit that. So, well, I know I can anyway. So
right. I think we've also got a calendar on ubuntuonair.com that Jose keeps up to date whenever we tell him what our changes are. So, Jose, if you're watching it, this is the last show of the year.
Yeah, I'll edit that.
Okay.
Awesome.
Right, so we will see you all after the holidays. I hope you all have a good holiday, whatever you're celebrating. Take a break from the computers for a little bit, spend time with friends and family.
Or up a mountain like Daniel.
Yes.
No, I'm going up a mountain. I thought Daniel was going to the tropics.
He may be going to a different mountain. Who knows?
Yes.
Tropical mountain.
I'll find one. I'll let you know.
Awesome.
All right.
Let's wrap.
All right, everyone.
Lovely to see you all, guys.
Thanks,
Happy
everyone.
holidays.
Thank
See you
you.
next
See you next year.
See you.